If you like fishing, you better listen, because this is the Bass Junkies podcast. Let's go!
What is up, our fellow Bass Junkies? You guys are tuning into another episode of the Bass Junkie podcast, where we talk anything and everything bass fishing. We drop a new episode every Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern time, so make sure you stay on the lookout for that. In today's video, we're going to talk about something that a lot of you guys know a lot about, and that's the Bass Tracker Classic XL. But before we get into that, guys, there was actually a very important tournament, bass tournament, that some of you guys may have heard of that happened this past week, and that was the Bass Masters Classic. So we're going to talk about that for a few. Josh, what was your overall impressions of that, and how you think it turned out?
The Bassmaster Classic. Well, first of all, good afternoon, Matt. And Bassmaster Classic was awesome. So I had to work on Friday. I'm a paramedic, so I have a lot of downtime. So I pretty much watched all the live coverage Friday. I thought it was really good. Saturday, I did have some other obligations, but I did catch some of it, especially in the morning. And it was really good. And then all day Sunday, I literally was glued to the Lazy Boy and I watched it. And as far as the tournament goes, probably one of the better Bassmaster Classics that I can remember. It was super tight right down to the end, almost to the point where we all know Jason Christie won, which was Matt's pick to win. And it was also who I wanted to win. So it was a win-win for both of us. But Jason won by 5 ounces. But if you were watching the Bass Track, which is where they put the weights in, but they're unofficial, he was actually losing. So it tells you that those guys sandbag on their weights a lot. Kyle Welcher came in second. I really like Kyle. He has an awesome YouTube channel. He really keeps it real. The dude is an upcoming star. I actually just listened to him today on a podcast. Super humble. You know, he lost by 5 ounces, but you would never know. You know, he just said, "Oh, my time's coming." And other than that, I thought it was an awesome Bassmaster Classic. I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I asked you about this. I think I might be the first person to win the Bassmaster Classic out of aluminum boat, which is something that no one's really talked about, which is a kind of big deal because for a long time, aluminum boats have been looked at as like, you know, the redheaded stepchild of the bass industry. So I think that's pretty cool. But you're right. I think Christie was sandbagging it big time because I was actually watching Luke Duncan's podcast, and he was talking about how he was actually standing close to Christie's wife as they're following Bass Track all day, and she was like a nervous wreck, you know. And they all thought he lost. In fact, Luke actually said that he already had a text prepared to send to what's his name? That second place. I'm sorry, slipped my mind. What's his name?
Kyle Welcher.
Yeah, he had a text ready to go to Kyle Welcher, and he refreshed Bass Track one last time, and he saw that Christie won. So yeah, I think most of us were shocked that Christie won because I think we all thought it was going to come down between Blaylock and Welcher. So
yeah, and Christie was due, man. It's a great story. He's lost a couple classics really, really close. Yeah. He left when that split happened, went over to MLF, did not really enjoy it, come back, qualified through the opens, and it's a great story. And I like Jason Christie a lot. Like, he doesn't put a ton of stuff out on YouTube. He actually has a YouTube channel and he's starting to post more videos, but Jason Christie's he seems like a very genuine dude, and the dude is a straight hammer, like catches fish everywhere. So,
yeah, he does.
We were talking about this, I think, the other night. Christie won a tournament up on St. Clair. Like, the dude's from Oklahoma, and he goes up to St. Clair and beats all the smallmouth guys. You know what I mean? Like, the guy's a hammer. He catch them everywhere. So
yeah,
congratulations to Jason Christie.
Yeah, definitely.
If he watches this, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it's top priority. I'm sure he's got it on his alarm set every Friday to check us out. All right, guys. So we've talked about that a little bit, and so we're going to get into today's topic, and that is the Bass Tracker Classic XL. This is a boat that a lot of you guys that watch my channel and Josh's channel already have, and I think this is a good video not only for you guys, but if you're considering buying this boat, we're going to break it down from specs on the boat, price points, what we purchased the boats at, stuff like that. And then at the end of it, we're going to go through everything that I've done to my boat, everything Josh has done to his boat, because we've upgraded them. Both of us have significantly. Then at the end of it, we'll probably just give like a 1 out of 10 rating. or something like that.
Yep.
What our rating is on the boat overall. So, Josh, if you want to kind of lead the way on this, and we'll get into it.
Yeah. As we're doing this podcast today, I have a different background. I'm actually sitting in my boat as we speak. So I figured what's fitting. We're going to talk about the boat. I might as well sit in it. Even though it is a little cold in my garage.
I'm sitting in my office still.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the forecast for this weekend, but we're supposed to get a bunch of snow. So
25 of a high. Trust me, I'm already depressed.
But so I own a 2020 Bass Tracker Classic XL, very similar to Matt's. Yours is a 21, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So mine's a 20. I bought this boat in February of 2020. And honestly, I came from a 14-foot boat, and I had a 14-foot John boat, but it was set up like a bass boat. It was a pretty sweet setup. But for me, what I wanted something that would just expand my area and I could go a little faster. But also, I didn't want to drop a house payment on a boat. So I started researching, and I'll be honest with you, since the time I was a kid, I always liked the Bass Tracker boats. I just thought they were cool, man. You see these guys riding around with aluminum Bass Tracker boats, and I always kind of wanted one. And I remember ours is kind of like the third generation of the new ones. And they came out with the Heritage, it's the same boat. It's the exact same setup, but it has different carpet. And it was a throwback to like one of their first, I think it was like their boat 40 years ago.
Yeah. And that's a 40 horsepower motor on it, but it's still the same.
40 horse. Yeah. And that boat sold so well that they come out the next year with the exact same hull, but they did it in the aluminum version, and they upgraded it where you could get a 50 horse. And I remember, I was like, man, I really like that. I like that boat a lot. And I almost pulled the trigger a year early and got that boat. But at that time in my life, I was going through some other stuff, and I just was getting ready to buy a house, and it just wasn't a good time financially for me to buy that. So then fast forward to 2020, when I did buy this boat, I remember I just happened one day, I was just on the internet, and I happened to go to the Bass Tracker, and I'm like, man, they made that aluminum boat into a black boat. And I was like, man, that thing is sharp. Like, and I really started looking at them. I started watching videos on YouTube, and there wasn't a whole lot out there at that time, but there was a couple people that had some videos. And one morning I got up. I live in Chillicothe, Ohio. The closest dealer I went to Bass Pro Shop to buy my boat. Closest Bass Pro Shop was Cincinnati, Ohio, which is like probably about a 2-hour drive from me. I drove down there. I went in, looked at the boat, I signed the papers, and it was mine, you know.
They had one in stock, huh? They had one ready to go.
No. So it was mine, but I had to wait about 8 weeks for mine.
Yeah.
So I think it was 8 weeks, but I think I got it 6. I can't remember. I got it well before fishing season started, though. Like, so it gave me time to do some stuff with it. I remember actually the day I went and picked it up, because you buy them at Bass Pro Shop in Cincinnati, but you don't go back to the store. You go to it's like the marine warehouse or something. And I went there. Guy goes over the boat with you, and it's funny, I actually knew more about the boat than he knew. But because I did so much research on it, he's kind of half-assed going through it, and I'm like, yeah, I already know. I know. Give me my boat. I want to go home. Threw the cover on. It was raining that day. It was colder than hell. I got her home, put her in the garage, and the upgrades started pretty much that following weekend for me. I already had a bunch of stuff bought, because the one thing I will say about these boats, and we'll go into that, they're very simple when you buy them from the store. Very simple. They don't come with much. And you can fish and catch a ton of fish out of the boat the way it comes. But as you're going to see, me and Matt have upgraded ours pretty a lot. And we've made them ours. And that's the one thing I do like about these boats, is you start with a blank canvas. So for the most part, and then you can make it the way you want it, you know. You're not going out and buying a $60,000 boat with all this stuff. And that might be the top-notch stuff. But if it has Humminbird on it and you want Lowrance, well, now you're taking all that stuff off a $60,000 boat. So the nice thing about these boats is you kind of start with a blank canvas. And that was pretty much my story. I mean, I just wanted a bigger boat. At that time, I have a Ford Ranger now, but I had a Ford Ranger before that. That is not my current one. And I needed a smaller boat because I needed my vehicles to be able to pull it. And this boat is awesome. You could pull this boat, honestly. I could pull this boat with my Honda Civic if I really had to,
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my story on how I bought the boat. The prices have gone up on these boats every year. I can't remember, and I was trying to find the paperwork, but I think I bought mine for either $11,900 or $12,900. And I think it was $11,900, but by the time they do the tax, title, freight, all that stuff, it come out to be right around $1,300. So it's the most affordable boat on the market. So
yeah, and as far as my story goes, I basically just wanted to buy my first boat. I was in the market to buy my first boat, and I weighed a lot of options. I thought about going used and getting a fiberglass boat used, but the thing is, I don't know much about boat motors. And what I really didn't want to happen is I didn't want to buy somebody else's problems. And you never really know how well that boat was actually treated. So I just wanted something new. And this was something that was in my price range. It was affordable. It was a smaller boat. It was something that I felt like would be a good first boat. Like, I just felt like it'd be perfect. And like Josh said, it's bare bones. It's basic, not a lot to it. But when I saw it, I saw a lot of opportunities. I saw how I could really customize this boat and make it a little fishing machine, which is what I have done. So that's kind of the main reason I bought it. I picked it up from Hearn Marina, which is also down there in Cincinnati by Dayton. I mean, by the Bass Pro. It's probably about 30 minutes from Bass Pro down that way. And so I was calling around multiple dealerships all around the country. I was willing to travel to pick up one, and nobody had them in stock. I called them, and they didn't have one in stock, but they said that that I could put one on order, they could put me on a list if something fell through on one of them. They had some of them coming in, but they were already claimed. I said, okay, that's fine. Just go ahead and put me on a list. Well, I got a call like 3 days later that there was a black one, because there was a black one and a red one. And the black one, which is the one I ultimately wanted, it fell through. It didn't fall through. He got tired of waiting for it, because it was like 8 weeks at this point, if not 10 weeks or something like that. And it still wasn't in. So he got tired of waiting for it. So he said, you know what? I don't want it no more. So they called me. I said, yeah, I'll take it. Gave him $500 over the phone. That thing came in a week later, man. Drove down, pick it up. Okay. So that guy waited all that time, and I went down a week later and got his boat pretty much. So I got lucky with it, because I know a lot of people wait a really long time, but went and picked that up. And I think I picked it up in, I want to say January of 21. It was January or February, somewhere. I think it was January, because I was pretty much working on it all winter. So yeah, January 21, and I really liked the boat overall, and we'll get into that more here, what I feel about it. But that's kind of my backstory as far as how I came to purchasing the boat. So
yeah, and I also bought a black one too. I forgot to mention that they did have a red and a black. I thought the black was super sharp. Now it's a pain to keep clean, but
yeah. And again, I paid. So I think I paid $12.99 for mine. My guess is yours was probably $11.99, because yours is a year. They went up another $1,000 at the time. So originally, when the Heritage came out, they were $999. And that was holy crap, you can get a brand new boat, for less than $10,000,
which is a killer deal, even with the 40 horse,
Yeah. And then they came out with the Classic, which was the same thing as we got now, but it's just the unpainted model. It didn't have the brown carpet. It has the same color carpet as we have, the gray, but it wasn't painted. Then they came out with the Classic XL, when you get that in a red option or a black option. And it's kind of went up, and we all know where the price is at now. What is the price now? Like $17,000.
I think I seen $17,000, I think, or 16 plus. And the thing is, guys, when they give you that price, you might as well add about $1,500 to that, because they get you on taxes, they get you on prep, they get you on freight, because they have to ship your boat to the dealer.
I think I paid when it was all said and done, it was like mid 14s. If I paid 12, it was mid 14s, tax, title out the door.
Yeah, I think mine was $1,300 even. I put a little bit of money down. I think I put like $1,500 down on it. Yeah. And there's no upgrades for these boats. There's nothing. There's two upgrades that I knew when I bought mine. There was you can upgrade and get the cover, which I highly, highly recommend. People complain all the time, well, it's a $500 cover. It's worth every bit of that $500.
It's a super nice cover. I use it all the time.
Awesome. I trailer mine with it all the time. And the other option was trailer brakes, but I don't know why you get trailer brakes on a boat that weighs like 2,000 pounds. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But, and that's the only two upgrades. I mean, it ain't like, hey, can I swap out this fish finder for this? No, you can't. Now, I know if you buy them through certain dealers, you can pay them to install stuff. But the boat is coming with what it comes with, regardless, you know. So,
and that's how Tracker, you know, that's how Tracker keeps their prices lower. Also,
it is.
You get a bare basic boat, and it's just it's kind of like a track house, you know. They're all the same, and that's how they do it. They knock them out. So yeah, and we'll get to that. Well, we can talk about that now. The one thing I will say about these boats, and Matt touched on it in one of his earlier videos, is these things are mass produced on an assembly line. And I've had no issues with my boat, but when you get them, there's going to be metal shavings everywhere. I found pieces of electrical stuff under, you know. I found breakers. I found a breaker cover. I found welding sticks.
Yep.
Aluminum. I've still got aluminum shavings back here that pop up. So,
and I think honestly, you got yours a year later than mine, and I think maybe even you might be in this category. We might have got a little lucky too, because if anything, if COVID did anything, it drove boat sales through the roof. Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted a boat. Tracker couldn't keep. Well, I've seen guys on the Tracker forums that were waiting 8 months to get their boat. You know,
there's a couple of guys. Ed, I can't remember Ed's last name off the top of my head, but he follows my channel. I felt like he was waiting for his boat forever. I mean, I feel like I was like a year into my channel by the time he finally got it. So it felt like, you know.
Yep. Yeah, what I liked, mine was like 6 weeks, but it also gave me time I had some extra money, and I started acquiring the stuff that I knew I was going to put on this boat. So it's funny. You can ask my girlfriend. I had like in the basement, I had a whole pile. Like every day, she's like, something else came for the boat, and I'm like, oh yeah.
We'll get into that. So let's talk about the specs real quick. What the boat comes with right from the factory. This is the boat you're going to get. We'll go through the measurements, all the details on it, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I got it right here on my phone. Give me 1 second. So this boat, it's technically 16 feet and 8 inches. It's got a beam of 6 feet 5 inches. So that's how wide it is at the top, at this widest point. The bottom width, it is a flat bottom boat, or I think what do they call it?
A mod
V. It's not complete flat bottom. It's like a mod V. Yeah. It's 4.4 foot 6 inches at the bottom. It's max render. They recommend that you put a 50 horse on it, and that's what it comes with. But you can still, I think you can get them with a 40 if you want, which I don't know why anybody would put a 40 when you can get a 50. It comes with a 6-gallon tank, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. The max capacity per person is 300. Max person weight's 555. Max person plus motor, all your gear, 1,025. It's got a transom height of 22.5, which is the side height. It's made out of marine aluminum, and the dry weight of this boat is 780 pounds. Price of this boat today, I looked it up, it's $15,995.
Yeah, see, I think that's just some places, because I know I've seen it for 17 plus in some places. So
yeah.
I guess it just depends who you buy it through. I think if you go to Bass Pro, you're going to probably get that 15 something, because they're probably required to sell it at that price. But I think if you go to an actual dealership, they kind of put whatever price they want to put on it. So
yeah, like I said, that's off the Tracker webpage. Also, the other thing is total package. The way the boat comes the day you buy it on the trailer is right in at like 1,800 pounds. So like I said, you could tow this thing with about anything, honestly, guys. I tow it with a Ford Ranger. I have a newer Ford Ranger, which is much different than the old ones. But my Ford Ranger tows it just fine. I can't even tell it's back there, honestly. And I know Matt tows it with a Dodge Durango, which that thing's probably got a Hemi, so you probably can't even feel it.
No. Yeah. And so on the interior of the boat, it comes with the trolling motor is a 45 Minn Kota edge, 45 pound thrust Minn Kota edge. I think it's a 48-inch shaft, I believe.
42
inch shaft. I'm sorry. Yeah, 42 inch shaft. It comes with one little electronic fish finder. It's a Lowrance hook, 4.
4-inch, yeah.
Yeah, that comes right there on the console. Comes with 2 batteries, your starting battery and your 1 trolling motor battery for 12 volt. It's a 12 volt trolling motor system.
And they do come with they come with interstate batteries, which are really, in my opinion, are pretty good batteries.
Yeah, then it's got a couple of generic tie downs to tie down to the trailer. What size wheels are on the trailer?
I can't remember, honestly.
I can't either. But anyways, it comes with a fold-away tongue. And I know that one of the questions a lot of people ask when I was first making videos, what's the overall length of from the back of the motor to the front of the trailer when the tongue's folded back, because they want to know if they can fit it in their garage. And I think it's 23 foot, like 1 inch or something like that, if I remember right. From the motor trimmed all the way down, all the way up to the tongue being broke back. So if you're wanting to figure out if you could fit it in your garage, if you figured if 23 foot 5 inches, if you have that, it's going to go in there. I think it's 23.1, 23.2, somewhere in there is your length with your motor trimmed down. So mine barely fits, to tell you the truth. Yeah. So
another inch, it's not fitting. If you guys can see, there's my motor, and it is against my back wall.
Yeah, mine's tight as well. So yeah, I think that's it as far as the specs of the boat, the trailer. And
it comes with 2 seats.
Yeah, it does come with, and they're nice seats. They're not bad seats at all. They're pretty. It comes with 2 cast seat, a seat for the front deck and a seat for the back deck as well. Yes, they are the same seats that you sit on at the console. Yes.
So, and I don't use those seats honestly, because when I fish, I have a butt seat, and then I've actually taken those seats and boxed them up, and I'm gonna keep them in case these seats ever wear out.
Yeah, then you also have 9-gallon live well. You got a large compartment in the back on the back deck. You got a small compartment up underneath the front deck. And then you have 2 smaller compartments. You can flip your driver's seat and passenger seat up. You have 2 little small storage spaces there. So I think that pretty much covers everything storage-wise on the inside of the boat. And it comes with a 6-gallon gas tank as well.
Yep. And you got a spot for 4 rods.
Spot for 4 rods, yes.
Yep. Which I'll put this out there right now. Matt, I took a picture, so Matt will show you. If you use rod sleeves on your bait casting rods, you can actually fit 8 of them in there. Pretty easy. So that helps you out a little bit, because that is probably my number one beef with the boat. I wish I had a rod locker, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay, so let's get to the fun stuff, guys. And like I said, one thing about these boats is you can customize them fully. I mean, you can, and honestly, that was a really cool part of this boat, is because it gave me something to do during the wintertime here in Ohio. That first season I spent every waking moment I was out there working on my boat, and I'm pretty much kind of done with it now. But I mean, there might be a couple little things, but for the most part, I'm done with it. But I spent a lot of time adding and upgrading. So let's start with the trolling motor, or actually, let's start with the trailer, Josh, real quick. Let's just get that out of the way, because I know there's not a lot on that. What have you done with the trailer?
Can I interrupt real quick, Matt? One thing you forgot, it does come with it comes with the horn, cigarette lighter, and also you have the plugins for your bow and stern lights, which are also included.
Yes.
Yep.
But mine came with the fire extinguisher, came with the it comes with the paddle. I think that's it.
Yeah. Yep. So as far as the trailer, what have I done different than my trailer? Well, first thing I've done, you guys will notice when you look at the photo that Matt posted on my boat, and this was pure cosmetic, I switched out the aluminum or chrome rims that come with it, and I actually put a set of black rims that I bought them off the internet. The only reason I did that is because I have an all black Ford Ranger with black rims, so it just kind of matches my truck a little better.
Pretty good.
Just trying to be cool. And they really weren't that expensive. I think they were like $100 each. And then I just took them and had the tires swapped over on them. So that was one of the early things. First thing I did to the trailer is I added a spare tire. It does not come with a spare, which is funny. So I bought a spare. I bought it off, I think, Amazon. It's just I think it's gray. It's painted gray, and it goes up underneath the front of the boat. And then I bought a mount that mounts to it, and the mount has like a little padlock, because if you don't lock your spare tires, guys, somebody will steal them from a boat, from a parking lot. Promise you. So lock your spare tire on. And the other thing I did to the trailer, and probably one of my favorite upgrades, is I put the boat buckles on the back, which are, you pull them up, guys, you hook them, one click, your boat's secured in the back, and then when you're done, you just click it down and you bring them down and they retract back down. So there's no messing with straps. They're hooked to your trailer and they're super awesome. I know Matt has them.
Yeah, they're essentially ratchet wrenches. I mean, ratchet straps that are attached to your boat trailer permanently.
Yep.
Yeah.
And other than that, that's all I've done to the trailer.
Yeah. So all I've done to my trailer is I added a step right there at the front by the tongue, which is nice when you're, when you're down on the ramp. It's nice to have that stability. A lot of times, what I do is I'll open up my Durango hatch and I'll kind of put my hand on that, and then I'll step up on the tongue of the trailer and I'll step up on that step. Then up onto the bow of the boat. So that was like $20-something off Amazon, real quick. Took me 5 seconds to install it. I also added a spare tire down underneath. I'm not really sure why they don't come with one, or why that. It might be an option. Is it an option?
It was an option. You're right.
It's like expensive. Yeah, it's expensive. I paid like $90 for my tire. It's expensive on the option. I would say buy it separate.
Yeah,
but you definitely want to have a spare tire, man. I'm someone that can vouch. My dad multiple times had tire issues. Tires blow out on boat trailers, and it sucks. It's a headache.
Yeah, I've been there.
It sucks. It sucks. So it's a good thing to have. And then the only other thing is, like Josh said, I have the retractable boat buckle tie downs on the back to tie the boat down. So that's really all I have on the trailer, guys.
Can I ask you a question, Matt? You have the actual boat buckle brand, correct?
Yes.
Yes, I do too. So guys, originally I bought a generic brand off of Amazon, and they lasted all of about a month, and they got rusted out and they wouldn't work anymore. And spend the money. The boat buckle ones they are expensive. I think they're like $60-$70, but they are well worth it.
Yeah, they're nice, and it's only like a click and a half. I mean, it's not much to tighten it.
It don't take much. I see guys like wrenching down on these trailers. You don't have to wrench down on them. It doesn't take much. Just a click here, and they're not going to go anywhere.
And I don't know how it was for yours when you installed it. So when I installed mine, I did have to bend the little thing beside the taillight a little bit to get it to fit the bolt through there, but that's really the only thing I could think I had to do.
Yeah,
special.
I had to
bend mine getting away.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I had to bend mine a little bit too. I just took a big crescent wrench and kind of just bent it out just a hair.
Yeah, it's not much.
Nope. And dude, those things are awesome. It makes it so much easier. I'm big. When I get off the water, I want to go home, and I don't want to sit there and have to mess around for 40 minutes. So those things are awesome. Hook them.
Yeah,
ratchet them.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about them is I wish they were like a stainless, because the black part, the hook where it's painted, mine's all like flaked off and rusted there. Like I wish that was like an actual stainless steel or something that hook was that attaches to the boat. But other than that, they're great. I mean, they still work flawlessly. And then the actual ratchet part itself still looks great. No rust on that or nothing. It's just the hook part that hooks onto the boat where it's painted black. It's a black painted coat that's just chipped off.
Yeah,
which is expected.
Yeah, it's like a rubber coating. It's kind of cracked and stuff, but it still worked great. The other thing too, guys, with these trailers, and I see this a lot on the forum, it hasn't happened to me, and I don't think it's happened to Matt, I hope not, is do not unhook your front winch from the boat until the boat is basically in the water. Because these boats are notorious for sliding off trailers. So
yeah,
before you launch, I power load mine, and as soon as I power load it up, I hook that winch, I lock it, and then I can drive out. But do not even attempt to do that without that winch hook, because unless you want to watch your brand new boat sitting on the concrete.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so guys, that's the trailer. Let's get into the boat. You want to start at the trolling motor, and we'll work our way back?
Yeah. So on my boat, well, for one, Matt already touched, the boat comes with a Minn Kota Edge, which is a very basic Minn Kota. It's Minn Kota's most basic foot controlled trolling motor. It's a 45-pound thrust, 12 volt. That thing definitely had to go. And what I did initially, this is my third trolling motor on this boat. Initially, I bought a 70-pound Edge. And what I did with that, and that worked great for people who don't want to have to, I was scared of having to unbolt the trolling motor because I heard the horror stories about trying to get to the bolts. So I initially bought a 70-pound Edge. And what that does is the 70-pound Edge uses the same bracket as the 45-pound Edge. And I had no issues with that. It was a 24 volt, so I had to put an extra battery in the boat. And I ran that for the first year, and it was a great motor. My biggest beef with that motor was it had 5 speeds. And I'd get in my buddy's boats who had the dial that went from basically 0 to 100. And you kind of just dialed it. Mm-hmm. And because the problem was speed 5 was balls to the wall. Speed 1 didn't move you fast enough, and everything else was kind of just in between. And there sometimes, like speed 2 wouldn't be fast enough, speed 3 would be too fast. So long story short, I end up replacing that after the first year to the trolling motor I have on here now. And I have a 80-pound, 45-inch shaft Minn Kota Fortrex. I've always really liked the Fortrex. I like the way they look. But more than that, that thing is a brute of a motor. And that's what I put in the boat. Like I said, it's a 24 volt. So I have to have 2 batteries. So you have to put a second battery in the back, but there's plenty of room for an extra battery. And then as far as me putting the motor on the boat, it was super simple because for the foot pedal, I actually have a recess tray for my foot pedal, which I put in myself. And I put that in when I first got the boat, which you want to talk about nervous, cutting a pretty much like a 14-inch hole into the front of your brand new boat. But for you guys who have if you're going to put one of those in, put it in when you're doing your trolling motor, because you can reach your hand up through the hole and get to all the bolts. Because all these guys have an issue getting to the bolts on these trolling motors. So they give you a hole about like that big to try to sandwich your hand up in there. And the other thing was the Fortrex holes lined up with the edge holes. So I had to drill no holes at all. So it was super simple. I love the trolling motor. The only thing I regret about that motor is I wish I had spot lock. I like a cable steer trolling motor. And like I said, it's a beast. But if I had to do it again, I probably would get the Fortrex. But the Ultrex definitely has my curiosity because it's basically a Fortrex with spot lock. And I love that trolling motor. It's been a beast. I have had no issues. 80-pound thrust pushes. I mean, it's plenty. For this little bit.
Yeah. So on mine, guys, and real quick. So on the 45-pound edge, I'll tell you this. It depends what kind of fishing you're doing. It did the job. I ran it for a whole year, and is there better trolling motors? Absolutely. But did it do the job? Yes, it did the job. I mean, it did what I really needed to do. Now, if you get out and wind, it kind of sucks. But for the most part, I mean, it did its job for what it was supposed to be. It'll get you out on the lake fishing right away. So it's not something you absolutely have to do. I think it's more of a luxury item. So I ended up upgrading to a Minn Kota Tarova 55-pound thrust, and mine's still a 12 volt. And just so you guys know, because Josh, he upgraded to a 24 volt, just so you know, you can do it 2 different ways. So you can either put a second trolling motor battery in there and you can run them parallel together, and that'll make it one large 12 volt battery, or you can run them in series, and that'll make 2 batteries actually 24 volts. And then if you want a 36 volt system, then you would run 3 batteries in series and get 36 volts. So, but I kept with this 12 volt system. It was the cheaper trolling motor. And so I got the Minn Kota Tarova. I mounted an aluminum plate for it because these boats are notorious for these. And it's specifically the Tarova and the Altera, these electric driven trolling motors. The way they got to hang so far out off the edge of the boat, and there's not that much of a base to it, a body to it. They're notorious for breaking the front weld on the boat. So I came up with a plan, and you guys can see that in one of my videos here on the channel where I actually mounted this aluminum plate to put down between the trolling motor and the bow itself, then attach the trolling motor to that, which has seemed to work out pretty good so far. It's actually really sturdy, so I think it's going to hold up over the longevity of it. But trolling motor is nice. It's electric driven. It is different than cable driven, that's for sure. But I'm getting used to it now a little bit. It's got spot lock, which I love. I mean, I'll tell you this. Now that I had spot lock, I really won't ever have a boat without it again. It's in my opinion, it is the greatest thing probably ever put on a boat, ever invented on a bass boat, is spot lock. I mean, I know like power poles are sweet, but there's just so much you could do with that spot lock. And the fact it's just the little things that you don't think about, like lure changing. Like this lake I fished this past weekend, if I wanted to change the lure, I would have to kind of drive out in the middle. If I was by myself, drive out in the middle of my trolling motor to sit down and actually go through my tackle and change my lure. By the time I got it on, I was already blowing up against the bank if the wind was blowing at all. You just hit the spot lock on that thing. You don't have to worry about it. You can take your time. You can eat some lunch. You can freaking change your lure. I mean, just little things like that you don't really think about makes it really, really nice. If you catch a fish, which I haven't actually caught a fish since I put it on the boat because it's still new for me. You can just hit that right there and it'll hold you on that spot while you're fighting the fish. You ain't got to worry about your boat blowing into a dock or anything like that. And it'll keep you right where you're at. So that is nice. Also, it has the iPilot where you can basically just turn the trolling motor head in the direction you want to go. So if you want to get parallel with the shoreline, you could turn the trolling motor arrow the way you want to go. You could hit iPilot or AP, whatever it is on the foot pedal, hit constant, and it'll go. It'll follow that course, and it'll stay on that course. It'll adjust itself, adjust itself, and you can adjust the speed. So if you want to go really, really slow, barely crawl down the shoreline and flip docks, you can do that. Or if you want to burn crankbaits down that shoreline and go really fast, you can crank the speed up on it, and it'll hold you on that course line the whole time. So it kind of makes it, I would say hands-free, but foot-free, which is really nice in these boats too, because when we'll talk about it a little bit later, the stability, these boats ain't very wide. So it's nice to not have to really use your feet as much. So I really do like that, but it is definitely different electric driven than cable driven. And I'm still trying to get used to that. It's a lot more sensitive, but I'll get used to it over time. So that's the trolling motor that I upgraded to, was the Minn Kota Taroba. So Do you want to go with electronics now on the front of the boat?
Yeah. For one, I wanted to ask you, have you done anything else to the trolling motor? Is there any accessories you've put on it or anything?
No. Well, the only thing is just the transducer. Yeah,
I think they're pretty good the way they come. Well, on my 4-Treks, I did upgrade the handle that comes from Minn Kota. I got the TH Marine. I think it's the Gerald Swindle handle, and I really like it. It's a cable handle. I really like that. I highly recommend doing that because my old trolling motor, the rope broke all the time, and it is such a pain in the ass when in the water when that rope breaks.
That's actually one thing I don't like about the Taroba is the way it deploys. It's really smooth. It deploys way easier than the Edge does.
Yeah.
Like you push that lever down, I mean, it basically just falls in the water. But the problem is it doesn't have that rope handle, so you have to kind of lean all the way out down on the front of the boat to get it to push it down and deploy it. And same thing when you pull it out. It doesn't have a rope that you can just kind of lean back, grab, and pull up out of the water. So I don't like that part about it. But it's easy to deploy, but you got to bend down pretty far, and it's kind of annoying. So
and then with my 4-Treks too, I put it's an actual bracket that you mount to it, and then that bracket has a pole, and that pole goes on the deck of the boat, and it keeps your motor from bouncing around. I highly recommend it because I do think without that, I could also see that cracking on my hull. But my trolling motor doesn't hang over nearly as far as the Tarobas do. But having that to brace the back of it, keeps it from wanting to put forces where they don't need to be. And the other thing I did with my trolling motor too is I got a cool foot, which is a piece of it's like a rubber, it's like that sea deck material, and it goes on your trolling motor. And it looks cool for one, but I like to fish barefoot at times, and I really like the way that thing feels on your feet. So that's the upgrades I've done to the actual trolling motor since I bought it.
Yeah, so getting on it, so I actually did put a quick release bracket. So the trolling motor my trolling motor actually mounts to a bracket. So I have the aluminum plate, then I have a quick release plate on top of that. So basically I can just pull the trolling motor off with just pulling a pin out. And the only reason I did that is because I travel a lot with the cover on, and I have my boat outside during fishing season, and it's hard to get that cover on with that trolling motor upgrade hanging off the edge so far.
Yeah.
So it's just a quick pin. You pick it up, put it, and just set it right on the front deck. So I did put a quick release bracket. And then getting to the foot pedal thing, I actually did buy a recessed tray, and I was about to cut it in, but I waited until I upgraded, and I'm glad I did because the Taroba foot pedal is very, very thin. I mean, it's nothing. So after I seen that, I didn't feel the need to cut the recessed pedal in because it is very slim. So it's pretty much flat already. So if I would have kept a cable-driven trolling motor, I would have definitely put the tray in. But
the tray is honestly one of my favorite things. I had one on my old boat too. And it saves your back for one. They call it Captain Morgan. You're not doing that Captain Morgan pose all day, And to me, it just makes it safer because it makes it more level with the deck. So you're not tripping over the pedal. And before I had one on my old boat, I would do it at least once a fishing trip. I would go to hit my pedal to make the motor go, and it wouldn't go. And I'm like, oh great, it's broke. Well, no, it's where my foot hit the side of it and turned that little button on and off.
Yeah, so I did that a couple times.
It doesn't do that. So yes, I highly recommend a tray. The tray, it's very intimidating because you do have to cut a big hole in the front deck of your boat. But if you just measure, use a good jigsaw, there's no issues at all. It comes out super nice.
And one other thing too, guys, on this robe that I missed is it also comes with a remote. So not only do you have the foot pedal, you can get the foot pedal, which I did. And if you're a bass fisherman, I highly suggest you to have the foot pedal. But it also comes with a remote that you can literally sit anywhere in a boat and control this thing. You can control the speed on it. You can put it in spot lock. You can literally steer it. I mean, you can just sit there and troll with it. Ryan and we actually trolled with it at the end of last year when I first put it on. I mean, it's really convenient. So anywhere in a boat, you can have it hanging around your neck on a lanyard, and you can control the trolling motor from anywhere. So that's really nice as well.
That is sweet. That's sweet on these electric only lakes. You can take a break and just so yeah. And the reason we're doing this, guys, is because me and Matt have the same boat, but we have different stuff on it. So we wanted to show you the options, Price real quick, Matt, if you don't mind. I paid my Fortrex. It was not cheap. I think I paid around $1,300 for it. So that gives you guys a cost,
Yeah, I think mine was, when it was all said and done, was around $1,650, $1,700.
Yeah. So like they said, guys, boats break out another 1,000, because if you want to upgrade these boats, you're going to spend some money. But
yeah,
like we said, the boat's fine the way it comes, but this stuff has all enhanced this boat and made it where I really, really enjoy it. So electronics?
Yeah, let's get electronics.
Front electronics? Yep. So on the front of my boat, I have a 9-inch Lowrance. It's a Hook 2, and it's a split shot. And what the split shot is that mean it's a split shot transducer. So it does your standard 2D and it does your standard down imaging. It also has GPS on the front. And that's the fish finder I went on the front. I actually put mine on a decket mount, which you'll see in the photo. And all that decket mount does is it kind of brings it up a little bit, and it kind of goes over top of my foot pedal on my trolling motor. I do like that Lowrance a lot. I don't do a lot with the front fish finder, honestly. I use it mostly for depth and water temperature. But what I really like about the Lowrance, especially that split shot transducer, it's super small transducer, and it's got actually slots built into it. So it makes it super simple to mount it to your front trolling motor. So, and me and Matt both have both of our fish finders mounted to our front trolling motors. And
the transducers, yes.
I mean, the transducers, and it's super simple, guys. You just run the wire. I run the wire all the way up mine and then back down. I actually use electrical tape instead of zip ties. I like it much better. And also I see a lot of guys doing that now. Like I've seen a lot of professionals and stuff doing that now. And I've been doing that for years with the electrical tape. And that's my front fish finder setup. And like I said, I like the 9-inch. I think it's the perfect size for up front. It's not too big, but it's not too small. It's a color unit. You can split the screens. And I think I paid right around $600 or $700 for that 9-inch Lowrance, which isn't bad today for a 9-inch model. So, but it's a pretty simple fish finder.
Yeah. So I got the Garmin 93 UHD SV. It has 2D side imaging, down imaging, mapping. Very user friendly. It comes with a GT54 transducer, which mounted on the bottom of the Toroba. It barely fits, but it does fit. So one thing, guys, if you do install electric driven trolling motor, specifically the Altera or the Toroba, and I bet it's like this with the Ultrex too. Maybe not the Ultrex. I don't know. So one thing about these trolling motors is the head of the trolling motor spins 360 degrees all the way around. So you can't just run your transducer cord down it like you can on the cable driven, because the cord from the transducer will actually get wrapped up into it and it'll cause it to break. So on my boat, I actually installed a bicycle chain, and a lot of people have done this. I just take a cheap bicycle chain and it kind of coils, and I attach it to the trolling motor through the little bracket there, like the one loop, and I basically just tie wrapped, or actually it was tie wrapped, and I changed it to electric tape. Electric tape the transducer cord all the way around those coils, then it goes, so that way it gives it slack and it allows it to spin freely all the way around. That's really the most common way and the best way I've seen that you can actually make that transducer on the trolling motor work without actually getting it tore up inside of it. Now, I've seen some guys have actually taken the trolling motors apart, and you can actually run the transducer cord down through this, because the Troba does have a little tiny groove inside of it that you can run your transducer cord through, but I wouldn't get into all that. And if you have a Hummingbird, a lot of them have the transducer built into the bottom of them, and you can actually, even with the Garmin's, you can because Minn Kota is matched up with Hummingbird, but you can get the little changeover piece, so you can use instead of using the GT54 transducer, I could have used the one that's built in, but it's not as good. It's just not as good. So I elected just to run the cable externally on the outside. So that's the graph I have, guys. Nice little unit. I got it mounted on a ram mount, and I think I paid $699 for that. They typically run $1,100, I think, new, but you can get them on sale a lot. Black Friday. And then if you just keep looking them up, Shields, Cabela's, there's all kinds of different stores. They'll have them on sale. You'll find them for $699 quite often. So just keep looking around if you haven't found one. But $699 is what I paid for it. And like I said, it's a nice unit. It's color, user friendly. But like Josh said, I don't use it a ton. It's more about water temperature, depth. I like when I'm on the points here at Allen Creek, I like to be able to, see which side of the point I'm on, see which side of the hump I'm on. That's kind of what I mainly use it for, the down imaging. But other than that, I don't use it a ton. So.
Yeah, I don't use my front one either that much. I mean, I use it. It's always on.
Yeah.
But I use it for basic sonar. Question, Matt, does your Garmin model up front pair up with LiveScope?
Yes. Yeah, it will. It is LiveScope compatible. Yes.
Yes.
That
would be sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another reason I put it on. So originally I had the 73 to 7-inch screen, and it just wasn't quite big enough, when you're standing up. So I went with a 9-inch, and that was another reason I went to the 9-inch, was the plan to eventually be able to put LiveScope on there, and I wanted the bigger screen for that. So that's why.
The 9-inch is super nice. There's a big difference between a 7 and a 9, honestly.
Yeah, there is.
Why the 9 kind of a jump up in price.
But I feel like the 7 would be like the minimum that you should get. If you
absolutely.
can afford it. I mean, I know everybody has a budget. I understand that.
Yeah.
So, but the 7, I feel like is the minimum where you can get a good image with your down and side imaging and all that stuff. So.
What a lot of guys are doing too with this boat, I see on the forums, is a lot of guys are taking that little 4-inch model that's up on the dash here, and they're putting it up front, and then they're upgrading. If you can only spend the money, I'd put a much larger one at the dash than up front. But I'm with you. 7 inches.
And something else you can also do too is, if you just have the money for one, you could put it on a little swing arm ram mount right there on the side of the console, and you can swing it both directions. So you can see it when you're up fishing, or you can see it when you can swing it the other way and see it while you're driving. So, yeah.
All right. Now we'll talk about, since we're up front, we'll just talk about the front deck and anything else we have added, because we've done trolling motor, electronics, foot pedals, recessed pedals. The other thing I've added, I have 2 sets of rod straps. And mine are not the retractable ones. I know Matt has those. Mine are just the kind that you unhook, and they kind of get in the way sometimes. And I'm very interested to see yours, because I want to see how you installed those, because those are sweet. And then the other thing I have up front is I have a butt seat on a pedestal. And I think I bought it at Bass Pro, and that's just your typical standard pedestal butt seat. I like to lean against it. Especially on those days where you're out fishing all day. It just gives your legs a little bit of a break, your back a little bit of a break. And other than that, that's pretty much the front of my boat. So
yeah. So the front of mine, same thing. I upgraded the seat to a butt seat. Just because it's actually here's the thing, guys. The seats are really nice, but they are bulky. So when they're up on the deck, the boat's not that wide. I mean, it takes up a lot of room. The seats that come with it. So when you get that casting seat or butt seat, whatever you want to call it, it really opens up a lot of room. And not only that, when you're driving, it's a pain in the ass to see around that bigger seat. Having that casting seat gives you a lot more visibility when you're driving. So upgraded that. The rod straps, I did go with the boat buckle retractable rod straps. They're basically recessed into the deck, and they're just nice straps, and they just retract out, and you clip them, and then when you're done, you just let them go, and they retract back in. They're kind of pricey. I think I paid $40. I don't know. I can't remember. $25 to $40. I don't remember what it was per one, but I put 3 of those on the boat in total. So originally I had the ones like Josh said he had, Then I just upgraded to those, and then got some LED lights up on the front deck. Super cheap. Got them off Amazon. There's no real purpose for them. Just gives you a little bit more light in the boat. Looks cool in the morning when you're rigging. When you're rigging in the morning and unhooking your boat and all that stuff. It's just nice to have in the morning time. But other than that, there's no really purpose for it other than this looks cool. And then
it looked cool.
And then I think the biggest thing, guys, is I built the casting deck extension. So the front deck is small. And it's actually the first thing I did. I never even fished out of the boat without the casting deck. I knew right away, seeing pictures of it. And this is something else I should tell you guys. I actually bought the boat sight unseen. Never even seen a boat when I purchased it. So I never even knew it actually. I seen pictures of it, but I never actually seen it physically in person when I bought it. So I should tell you that. But I knew right away I was going to build a casting deck extension. Spent about $450, I think, total for materials. Materials have went up now, obviously, but did it all out of aluminum, riveted everything. I put 2 compartments in it. I used the factory hatch handles. I found the matching part, ordered those. I tried to make it look as like it came with the boat. That's how I try to make it look, and it looks pretty damn good. I put dividers between the 2 compartments, so I have 2 large compartments up front now. But basically, the reason I did it more than anything was where the seat pedestal is located, when you turn around, you're literally off the deck. And that's how it is when you get the boat. So I just didn't want to have to worry about that. I wanted to have a little more walking room to be able to sprawl out a little bit. So that's the main reason I did it. But the added storage is nice as well. So like I said, that cost me about $450 in materials. It took me about a week to build it, after work and the weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I will say, I don't have the deck extension. To be honest with you, it's never really bothered me. I have about fell off of it a couple times. I will say that. I do have a Yeti cooler that's right off the back of mine, which it is dead nuts, like level with the front deck. But I will say this, Matt's front deck video, the way he did his is probably one of the better ones I've seen. It looks factory. It really does. And there's some other guys on these forums that have done really good ones, but there are also some guys who haven't really done ones that aren't that good looking. So, and like I said, that's all personal choice. Eventually I might do it. I don't know. At this point, like I kind of like it the way it is. But like I said, that's just personal choice. But Matt's deck he did is probably one of the better ones I've seen. So
yeah, and it's nothing's attached to the boat. It just fits in there. I didn't screw anything into the boat. I mean, it's literally just fit in there tightly. And yeah, yep. and I've seen all different price points. I mean, I've seen people that just frame them out 2x4s or slap a piece of plywood on top of there and some carpet that doesn't even match. You could do that too, and that's fine. And you can take it in and out of the boat as you want. For me personally, I wanted something that looked like it came with the boat, and that's what it does.
Well, and one of the biggest things, it does create more storage for you because these boats are tight on storage. They really are. Mm-hmm. And then I think we'll just lead that to the next thing that I've done to my boat. And I haven't seen many people do this. Honestly, I took my live well out. I don't have a live well in this boat anymore. The reason I took the live well out is because at one time I had a little bit of a leak in this boat and I was trying to figure it out. And in the process of finding that leak, I actually removed the live well to see if it was leaking underneath the live well. Well, when I took it out, I'm like, dang, this opens up a lot of space underneath here. So I took the live well out completely. I plugged both holes that come in from the boat. I bought some fixtures from a boat webpage. Got both those holes, removed the pump in the back, and I actually took the live well out. I took a little bit of plywood, put some carpet on it. It fits down in the bottom, and it just created more storage for me. Because to be honest with you guys, I didn't ever see myself using that live well. And I was always afraid of hitting the button and filling it up on accident or having it overflow or this or that. So for me, I took the live well out. If I ever fish in a tournament with this boat, I actually have a cooler from my old boat that I actually converted into a live well. I honestly think it would do a better job. It's much bigger. And that's what I did. I removed the live well. So, and it created more storage. But like Matt said, by creating that deck, it does give you a lot more storage because these boats are tight for storage for sure, especially if you carry a lot.
And it depends how far you extend it back. I mean, yeah, my 2 compartments are huge, and I have LED lights in them, which are nice in the dark or in the morning time. I got all my tackle in one, and I got a ton of room in the other. It does create a lot of storage, but if you're wanting to, it does make the bottom of the boat a lot tighter if you're wanting to sprawl out and all that stuff, so it doesn't. And here's another thing. I actually blocked off the rod holders. So Josh was talking about how there's 4 rod holder spots. I actually blocked them off. I knew I was gonna be carrying more than 4 rods, and to me it wasn't that big of a deal. I just put all mine on the front deck and just strap them down. So
yep.
I didn't really feel the need to have one. I've seen guys have actually put rod lockers in these boats. So, the Tracker Pro 170 is the exact same hull as the Bass Tracker Classic XL. It's just laid out with more storage. Bigger live well has some rod lockers, but it's literally the same hull. So that's what I'm saying. You can do a lot to these boats. There's a lot of wasted space, I feel like, in this boat, but it depends what you want to do. I mean, if you have a huge cooler like Josh carries and stuff, you're going to want that extra space because there ain't no room for a huge cooler in my boat now, like the way it's laid out. So,
yep. Yeah, I looked at the 170s, and the only reason I didn't buy a 170, and I'll be honest with you, there's no room in the back to put power pull pumps or to put a third battery. Because that 170 has like a 15-gallon tank or something in the back. It takes up the whole thing back. The back's much. It's the same hull, but the back is much different than our boats. And the other thing is, the one thing I like the rod locker in the 170. I like some of the more storage options, but I didn't like the bigger live well either because, again, I don't tournament fish, and I'm not. And if I did, I wouldn't use this boat anyways. If that makes sense, you know what I mean. So, like for me, the big live well is a wasted space on the 170. So, because I actually looked at them, that's my biggest beef is I wish there was a rod locker in this boat. I do. Yeah. Because like me and Matt are bass heads, man, and I carry 13 rods, and I know Matt carries equally, if not more, and that can make it really, really tight at times in this boat. So,
yeah. All right, so we've covered the front deck. Now let's move back to the console. So you want to talk about your electronics on the console?
Yeah, I'll talk about what I've done to the console first of all, because I'm looking at it right now. The one thing, I don't think I've even told you that I did this. I actually removed the cigarette lighter that comes with this, and I actually bought it off Amazon for like $10, and it's a cigarette light. It's the same thing, but it has 2 USB plugins on it, and it literally took like 5 minutes to swap out. That's a super awesome upgrade because me and Matt run we're trying to film, so I'm always charging GoPro batteries, charging a phone, or running a cord to a GoPro. So having that dual USB and not having to mess with like a cigarette lighter adapter and all that, that's probably honestly one of the cheapest, but probably one of my more favorite upgrades. Other than that, I haven't done anything else to the dash. Underneath the dash over here in the corner, I did add it's made by Ram. It's a Ram mount, but it's a little thing that holds your phone. I thought it would be great at the time. I rarely ever use it, honestly, because a lot of times I just throw my phone up into the dash because I'm always like switching podcasts or looking at my phone, and it's kind of a pain to get it in and out of that RAM mount. As far as electronics, on the actual dash, I have a Lowrance Hook 2 split shot 9-inch, the exact same model that I have up front. I have that sitting right here, smack dab in the middle. And I use that. Now that transducer is ran in the back, and I use that for my 2D and my down imaging, mostly 2D. I don't use down imaging a ton. And then I also, on the side here, I added a RAM mount, and then I have a Humminbird. It's a Helix 7. It's a Mega, and it does. I run mapping and side imaging on that. And then that transducer is also mounted in the back. So I have 2 transducers mounted in the back. They run on different frequencies, so I get no interference. So it's actually worked out to be a really good system. I do like this RAM mount on the side. It bolts real easy to the console. I know Matt's done the same thing. I drilled a hole, ran the wires through it. All the wirings underneath, super simple to plug and play. And to run the transducer to the back, it's pretty self-explanatory. So, yeah. And that's pretty much all I've done to my dash. I got a couple GoPro mounts that I stuck up here on the windshield. I got some stickers. I'll pop it off real quick because I need to glue it down. But I don't know if I ever told you this either, Matt. That little thing that goes in the middle of the steering wheel, get some 2-sided tape because I already lost one of those.
Yeah, I actually popped that off, and like I didn't even realize where it came from. At the end of the day, it was laying in the bottom of the boat, and I was like, "What the hell is this? I can't even figure out where this goes to." And we're looking around forever. And then Ryan's like, oh, it goes to the steering wheel. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I already lost one. I called Tracker up and they sent me one for free, but I need to put some two-sided tape on it because that bad boy will blow off for sure. Yeah. But that's all I've done to the console. As I'm looking around, looking at it, nothing too fancy. I mean, dual setups. I mean, I got 9-inch Lowrance, I got a 7-inch Hummingbird. Might seem like a little overkill, but I do like using the side imaging when I'm offshore. But I like having mapping on one unit, and I like having my 2D on the other unit. So.
Yeah, guys. So my setup's kind of similar. I got the 9-inch. First of all my electronics are Garmin. So I got another 93 UHD that's actually mounted directly onto the console. And then I got the 73, which used to be up in the front of the boat. I moved it back and I put it on a RAM mount right there beside the console. Really, I wanted to upgrade a 9-inch. I wanted to go to a 9-inch up front for live scope. The possibility of live scope, and I just needed somewhere to put the 7-inch really. So I was like, hey, let's put it right back there beside the console. So that's my plan, is to be able to run mapping on one and then do all my imaging on the other, because it would be nice, to have all your maps on one screen and then be able to do your imaging on the other. So that's really, and then I had just the one GT54 transducer on the back of the boat because the two on the console actually interlink together through a network cable. I could network them all together, all 3 units, but I haven't done that yet. I just networked the 2 right there at the console for right now. So I have 2 transducers on the boat. I have the one for the front unit on the trolling motor, and then I have 1 transducer for the 2 units at the console. Yep. Other than that, on the dash, haven't changed a lot. Like Josh said, I have some GoPro mount stuff, bunch of stickers on the windshield. And I will tell you this: one thing I dislike about the boat is I hate the damn windshield. I think the windshield is too damn tall. It drives me crazy. I'm a shorter guy, so it might not bother Josh because I think Josh's a taller guy. But for me, I'm shorter and I don't like it. Like it's like I can't see over it, but I can't see under it. It's like right in my eyesight. So I'm actually considering cutting it down. I've seen some people do that. I probably am going to cut it down. I actually plan to cut it down and actually black the whole thing out and tint it out black. That's what I want to do. I think it'll look slick with the rest of the boat. So, yeah, that's probably my biggest gripe is I do not like the windshield. It's just too damn tall for me. So
yeah, the windshield sucks. It does. I'm 6 foot tall and it's right in my line of sight.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have that problem.
They do. I see it all the time on the forums, and I've seen people cut them down. I'm just, be honest with you, I'm very hesitant to do that because I don't want to mess it up. Yeah. But
I'll screw mine up for you first.
I was gonna say, I didn't want to say it, but we'll see how Matt's turns out. And if it does good, I'll do mine. But yeah, I hate that thing. The other thing too is the 9-inch on the actual dash. That's about the biggest you can go without actually getting into your cup holder.
And I love that cup holder. Like, and I do too. I use it.
Yep.
I do put drinks in there, but I put my phone in there. I put everything in there. And typically, like I actually put a lot of stuff between the windshield and the back. Like I put all my unit covers down in there. I usually slide my phone down there. I'm a smoker, so I use my cigarettes sit down there. Like I put a lot of stuff back in there on top of that console between the windshield and the steering wheel. So
yeah. And I'll let you talk about it, but me and Matt have our transducers on the back of our boat mounted the same way. If you want to talk about that, because that's the best system I have found to mount a transducer to a boat. So
you talking about with the pad,
the stern saver or the stern pad? Yeah, is that what they call it?
Yeah, they call it a stern saver. So basically, when you buy your boat, you're going to have the little transducer on there from the Lowrance Hook 4.
Yep.
So to avoid drilling a bunch of holes in the boat, because you never know when you want to change transducer or change electronics. So I bought a little stern saver pad, and I don't know what the size of it is, but it's a little pad like that. It's a black one. It matches the boat, and it has some 3M adhesive to it, and it's strong. But you sand it down a little bit, sand the paint a little bit, and rough it up, and you stick that thing on. There's directions how to do it, and then you can basically screw into that with your transducers. That way you're not screwing a ton of new holes into the boat. So you basically plug your old holes, and then you can put all your holes on top of that pad instead of putting them actually into the boat itself.
Yeah, it's awesome. Nice. I have 2 of them, one for each of my transducers, and Matt will show you a photo of that too. And I was hesitant at first because I'm like, man, these things are going to fall off. If you prep them right, like you said, you rough up the paint, you scuff it up, you clean it real well, you apply that adhesive, or not the adhesive, but the stickiness. What is it? You said 3M. Yeah, that 3M. Man, those things. I've had mine on here for 2 years and they haven't gone anywhere. And
dude, I actually ripped my transducer off at Cumberland last year, and that thing was still there. I mean, it literally pulled the bolts and everything out of that pad, and it's still stuck to the boat. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're made of, but they're like heavy duty, like kind of a plastic. And that, like Matt said, it keeps
kind of like it's almost like a starboard, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, and it keeps you from having to drill in to your boat. So all I did, I removed that Lowrance transducer. I filled those holes with some silicone, and I actually put the saver right over top of it. So,
yep. So
and
then,
awesome setup.
Yeah. So we went to the console. The only other thing I have down in the center of the boat, I guess, I have more LED lighting. I have LED lights all around the boat, then a couple in the front compartments. But I also built, which is actually, this is probably one of my favorite additions. I built a little step glove box between the two seats, the driver and passenger seat, and it's just a little step up to the back deck. And then I put a little black waterproof, it's water resistant, and I recessed it down inside of that little step. And it's nice. I mean, and it matches the boat, looks real good. And basically, it's just like where like my keys go, my wallet goes, my fishing, anything that's like in your pocket after you truck stuff. Basically, I put everything right there. And I love it. I mean, it's just real convenient. Ryan and I, we fill that thing all the way up. There's actually not enough room in it. We packed that thing full of stuff. So that's probably my favorite little thing. One of my favorite things I did to the boat. And I did that similar to the casting deck. It just slides in and out. I've added some cup holders down there in the bottom part of the boat, a couple cup holders on the front of that little step, and then I've added a couple cup holders on the front side of the casting deck extension, the part that you step up onto. I've added some tool holders right there, some Rapala tool holders. I added 2 of those. I think that's it that I've screwed to it. Oh, and I also screwed a retractable ruler to my boat, a retractable fish ruler. So it basically retracts out, measure, and you hit a button, it sucks it back in. And guys, I have a video with all my additions. It's actually not too long ago, if you want to check it out, where I went through every individual addition. But yeah, I think that's all I have in the bottom part of the boat.
Yeah, I don't have anything in the bottom. I do like that step a lot. I've actually thought about building one of those myself. It's super nice. Yeah, I have nothing in the bottom of the boat at all. And I also have a video too where I go over it's like a boat tour video. It was one of my very early videos. But nothing has really changed on my boat since then. So
yeah. So we've covered the bottom of the boat, guys, and I guess we can get to the back. So they got the back storage compartment, which is the largest compartment that comes with the boat. I mean, I carry my life jackets in there, but Josh, that's primarily where we put all your tackle, right?
Yeah, I wanted to go over storage real quick. So there's a little storage thing in the front, like Matt said, and it's little. And what I have up front of mine is I have 2 life jackets up front. Those are the life jackets I don't wear. They're just extra life jackets. And then I also have my anchor. I have an oar. I actually took the wooden oar that came with the boat and got rid of it. And I have a little one I bought at Walmart. It actually it's an extendable oar, like telescopical. Like I got that up there, my anchor, those 2 life jackets, and I think that's it. And that's about all. I can't fit any more in there. But that's stuff I don't really mess with. I've never tied an anchor to this boat, to be honest with you, but you have to have one by law. And then in where my live boat used to be, that's where I keep my 2 life jackets that I wear when I'm running the boat, or, the one, if I have somebody with me. I keep my extra bibs, some extra clothes in there. And then I also have my throw cushion in there. Then under the driver's side seat, I got a waterproof box where I keep all my paperwork, all that stuff. I keep the keys in there. I got some suntan lotion, bug spray, stuff to clean the screens on my fish finders. And that's about it. And that's where I usually throw my wallet, my keys and all that stuff. And then the passenger side seat, I moved the extinguisher to underneath there. And I got a couple ropes underneath there to tie it up. And then the compartment that Matt's talking about, which is the biggest compartment on the boat, the only thing I have in there is tackle storage.
Yeah. So as far as my compartments go, guys, I got my front left one is all tackle. My middle one, I reorganized it actually this year. My middle one has all my like my bumpers, my ropes, tow ropes, stuff like that. It has one life jacket in there. There's my throw cushion in there. That's it. I mean, there's a lot of room still left in that compartment. Under my seats, guys, I have tools under one. I got like 3 waterproof boxes. So one of them has all my boat paperwork in it, and one of the waterproof boxes is in it. And then one has a bunch of different fuses in it, like a whole fuse kit in it. Some little wire crimps, electrical tools, stuff like that. And then the other one is just sockets, wrenches, stuff like that, in case we have to work on anything. And then under my driver's seat is all my cleaning stuff, bug spray, suntan lotion, or not suntan lotion, but whatever. What's it called? Not suntan lotion. What's it called? It's called freaking. Is it suntan?
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen. I don't know. It's suntan lotion. Yeah, sunscreen.
I think I said lotion too. Suntan lotion. I'm not trying to get suntan.
Yeah, sunscreen spray, bug spray, and then all the cleaning stuff. Like I got some boat juice stuff that we clean the outside of the boat with, and then some stuff to clean my screens with. And I think it's about it. Another thing, guys, with the step in the middle that's nice is if you have a third person, they can sit on that as well. My son, when he goes with us, he sits on that middle step. If you need a little extra cushion, you can always put your throw cushion on it, and they can sit on that. So that's another nice thing. So I think that gets us through all the storage stuff. So now that gets us to the very back of the boat. As far as the back deck, the only thing I've done to the back deck is the LED lights, and then I put one retractable rod strap back there for my co-angler. And that's it. Have you done anything on the back deck, Josh?
Yeah, I do have a rod strap that I never use. And other than that,
I did add the casting seat in the back as well. So I got 2 casting butt seats, whatever you want to call them, just because, like I said, the seats that come with the boat are really nice, but they're bulky. And myself and then the guy that usually fishes with me, we're both bigger guys, and it's just nice to have the extra room to walk around. But that casting seat really adds a little bit more square footage for you. So.
Yeah, I have an extra butt seat for back here too. I don't, if I'm fishing by myself, which I do a lot, I don't have it on the boat, but I keep it in my truck in case I have somebody fishing with me that wants it. Yeah. But other than that, I haven't done anything to the back deck of my boat. The back deck's actually pretty roomy for the back person. Like there's a lot of room back here.
Is it bigger than the actual front deck that comes with the boat? It's close.
It's about the same size, honestly.
Yeah. It's close. So you get the person in the back gets quite a bit of room. Getting into the back compartment there, I added the extra battery for the trolling motor. So I got the 2 trolling motor batteries. They're both all my batteries are the same. They're all the interstate batteries. The third battery I bought is matched the ones that were already there. I still got the 6-gallon gas tank. I know a lot of people upgrade them, but I'm telling you guys, this motor sips gas. I've never even come close to burning it all out. I don't understand. I mean, people must be making like huge runs, because I ran this thing for multiple weekends without having to put gas in it. So I still got a 6-gallon tank. I did have to move some stuff around. I did put the gas tank all the way on the left side, and then my batteries are in the middle. I also added an onboard charger, which I feel like is probably the biggest thing with this boat is you should have an onboard charger. I do not understand why they don't put an onboard charger with this boat. I mean, they're not that expensive. They could throw a freaking $100 onboard charger in there, because I couldn't imagine not having one. I mean, it's in my opinion, that's really the only thing that you should do to the boat is put an onboard charger on there. So then the only other thing is I added a float switch. So basically, if the water fills up, it'll just automatically kick the bilge pump on. And the main reason I did that was when I went on vacation to Lake Cumberland last year, I had the boat tied up to the houseboat, and I was worried that if it rained in the middle of the night while we were sleeping, it would, sink my boat. It would fill the boat up. So I basically just want an automatic bilge is basically what it is. So that was real cheap, clips right onto the bilge pump itself. Snapped right down onto it. It's actually made for that boat or that bilge pump. So yeah, that's the only things I've done to the back of the boat in that back compartment that I can think of.
Yeah, I had an extra battery, so I had 3 batteries back there. The other thing that I had to do, and Matt will probably run into this issue, honestly, is I had to upgrade the battery that comes. So I have 2 batteries in the back that run nothing but my trolling motor. And like Matt said, I have them wired. Is that in series? Is that what it is?
If it's 24 volt, it's in series. If it's
series.
12 volts, parallel. Yeah.
And the only thing hooked to those batteries is my trolling motor, and that runs nothing but. And then everything else on the boat, electronics, billage, horn, charging, everything is hooked to that one battery, which is also hooked to your outboard. Your outboard does charge that battery when it's running. Problem I ran into last year was me and my son were up at Lake St. Clair, and we were fishing, and we got on a pretty good spot, so we didn't move very much. We were fishing for 3-4 hours at a time, running 2-3 graphs, charging stuff, and the battery went dead. The boat would not crank over. I do carry a pair of jumper cables. I recommend that anybody. So I was able to jump off my trolling motor battery to start the boat. And then it did it to us a couple more times. So what I did is I ended up upgrading the actual cranking battery that came with the boat. And once I did my research, they give you it's a very small cranking battery. I actually did a whole video on this. So I upgraded to a bigger cranking battery. In order to do that, I had to buy a bigger tray. So you had to take the old tray out, put the new tray in. So I did that. I got a bigger cranking battery, the 2 trolling motor batteries. I still have the 6-gallon tank. I'm with Matt. It blows my mind that people don't think that's enough gas. I literally take my boat out in Lake Erie, guys, and I'll drive across Lake Erie to the islands and back, and I might use 2-3 gallons at the most.
It's gas.
I don't know where these people are running. Like, you know what I mean? If they're afraid of running out of gas.
I do carry. So if I know, like when I went to Lake Cumberland, I do carry a little 2-gallon can in my back compartment just in case you do run out. But I mean, I guess you could get the bigger tank if you don't want to put gas in your boat as much. I mean, I just kind of feel I pretty much top it off every time I go out just because I stop at the gas station anyway. So, and it's like, well, now gas price is probably $100 to top it off for a gallon, but I mean, it was like $2 every time I went down there to top it off. You know, it wasn't much at all.
No, that's the only thing I could see is people maybe if they're like their boat's going to be on the water for multiple days or they don't want to have to fill it up. But I'm with you. Like usually, especially if I'm up at Lake Erie, I top it off every morning. I mean, I top it off to the top. And I did do an onboard charger too. It's a must. I actually will talk about what brands we use. You have a Minn Kota, correct?
Yeah, mine's the Minn Kota 315D 3-bank charger. Yes.
Yep. And I went with I got a Dual Pro 3-bank. I think it's 5 or 6 amps per bank. And the reason I went with the Dual Pro is I had the exact same one on my old boat, and it lasted me for like 10 years. So I was like, well, this thing, I know it's a good onboard charger. They're great, guys. You bring your boat home, you plug it in, you forget, you come back out, your batteries are charged, and it actually maintains your batteries, and it'll make them last longer. The other thing is I charge mine year round too. It's plugged in right now, has been all winter, you know.
Yeah, I keep mine plugged in all the time, all winter.
Yeah, don't have to worry about it. The other thing I did in the back of mine is I installed an on-off switch. And what I did is I took everything that was hooked to that cranking battery and I hooked it to that on-off switch. And then from that on-off switch, I got a heavy gauge wire going to the cranking battery. So I can turn that off and it shuts the power down to the whole boat. Because that's one thing I don't like about these boats is they don't have a master power switch. So you can accidentally hit like the side light on the console, or you leave a fish finder on. So I did add that.
I think we forgot to talk about that. It does come with a little click light on the side of the console. Yeah. I don't think we covered that.
And you hit that damn thing all the time and it comes all on. The time. So, yeah. And then the other thing I have on the back of my boat is I do have a power pole. And in order to have a power pole, I had to have a power pole pump, and I got the pump mounted in there too. So I'm pretty much out of room back there, but there's plenty of room back there. There's a ton of room to do all that stuff, which is super nice. So if I add a second power pole, which I want to eventually, I'm probably gonna have to move some stuff around to fit that second pump in there. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the back compartment of my boat.
So I guess we just get to the back, guys. The motor, I haven't done anything to the motor. I still got the factory prop. The only thing I did put the Mercury vessel view inside the motor just recently, and that's basically just gives you all your engine stats. You can see your engine hours through a phone app. That's about it. I know Josh has got more that he's done on the back of his boat, so I'll let you talk about your couple.
Yeah, motor. I'm the same way with the motor. It's a 50 horse. It's a 4-stroke. It's an awesome motor. I have no issues with it. It's got plenty of power.
What's your top speed out of it?
I've gotten like 38 by myself. So 38, 39.
I think 34, but I don't know if I've ever ran it by myself with nothing in the boat. Like it's always been with the casting deck extension, my big ass, Ryan's big ass, all the tackle. I think 34, 33, 34 is where him and I usually run, but we kind of cruise usually probably around like 27, 28 or something like that.
Yeah. I'm kind of over the going balls to the wall. I want it to sing to last. And I mean, running them wide open is not horrible for them, but I mean, with the motor trimmed up as high as I can get it trimmed up without it, prop wash and all that, it's usually like 6,000 RPMs. And that got me about 35, 36 on average, but I have seen upwards of 37, 38. I put xl.We on my boat too. It's expensive for what it is, but it does show you your hours and all that. So I do like that. I do think it's a little overrated. Some of these guys on these forums are just like head over heels over this xl.We, and I'm like, am I missing something? Because it didn't really do much. It shows me my hours, like, you know what I mean? But it's a cool thing. It's easy to hook up. It's
just another luxury item.
Yeah. You plug it in, but I do like keeping track of the hours. And then the prop, I'm not messing with the prop. I know guys mess with it. This isn't a high performance boat. I'm definitely not going to put it up. I'm going to stick with the aluminum prop that's on it. I know a lot of guys are like, want to put stainless steel props on there. Problem is, you hit something, stainless steel does not give, doesn't break, so something is going to break. And to be honest with
lower
you,
unit.
it's not. And I've already done. I ran into some rocks at St. Clair last year, and I dinged up the prop. It still works great. You know what I mean? So, that's it. The motor, I've had no issues. It fires up first time every time, and knock on wood. And
you want to tell us about your power pole, what size you got, and how it's mounted and everything?
Yeah, so I did put a power pole. I put it on last winter, so I had 1 year with it. Probably one of my favorite upgrades. I like this. I'm a shallow water guy, so I do like the power pole. The only regret is I wish I had two of them, and I would have two of them. But unfortunately, the way I have to angle my boat to get it in my garage, I can only fit one. And you can see it right there. There's the power pole. It's an 8-foot. It's a Sportsman too. It's their cheapest one they have. I think it was like $1,200. Very simple to install. I did not drill I didn't put the power pole directly to the back of the boat, to the stern. I actually, I bought a bracket from Bass Pro Shop, and it's made for the tracker boats. So it's an offset bracket. You drill that to the boat, and then your power pole attaches to it. It looks nice, and it's a very good way of doing it. And then it's pretty self-standing. You just run, you got to mount a pump. You got to run to a battery, and then you fill it full of hydraulic fluid. And that's pretty much it. I do have multiple switches throughout the boat. I have a switch here at the dash. It's an up and down switch. I actually have 2 foot switches at the front next to my trolling motor pedal, one for up, one for down. You double click it, it goes down. You double click it, it comes up. And then it's got a switch in the back too. And that's pretty much it, man. I do like the power pole. Like I said, the only regret is one is good. It holds your boat. Your boat will spin a little bit. But if I'm in the market right now looking for a bigger house. With that bigger house might come a bigger garage. And if I get a bigger garage, I'm going to put a second power pole on this boat. And a lot of people worry about the weight and stuff. And it will, they don't weigh much, honestly. They're super light. Like I weighed the bracket and the power pole. It's like 30 pounds. So me adding another 30 pounds, but I don't think it might hurt performance a little bit. I might not get that top speed, but I'm not really that worried about that, So probably one of my favorite upgrades is my power pole. I really do like it. It's super awesome for launching too, man. Like I don't have to tie the boat up a lot of times. I just
I think that'd be the main thing I'd really want it for, honestly. Just it'd make it nice when you're freaking pulling up to a dock to be able to drop power poles and be able to just get out, because that's one thing that sucks with this boat, man. You go to tie up to a dock, and by the time you like get up and shift your weight, you're freaking 5 feet off the dock by the time you get up to the freaking front cleat. You know what I mean? So it would be nice to pull up and drop the power poles and climb out. It'd be nice.
Yeah, and I like the power pole kind of like you like the spot lock in a way, like tying. If I'm in shallow enough water, I'll just power pole down. And then you'll see in a lot of my videos, especially at the end of the year last year when I was fishing in West Harbor, I was fishing fairly shallow. I don't even realize it, but a lot of my fish catches, you'll see the power pole coming down. It's just natural. I catch a fish, I hit that button, starts coming down, and I'm not drifting all over the place and stuff. So yeah, they're worth their weight in gold. So yeah, I really like the power pole for real.
Cool.
But I think that's pretty much the boat for the most part, man.
Okay, so we've talked about pretty much everything we've done in the boat. Let's get into what we don't like about the boat. We talked about why we like the boat. Let's get into what we don't like about it. Is there anything you don't like about it?
I wish I had more storage for rods. That's my biggest beef. Other than that, no, not really. I mean, I really have come to enjoy this boat. I really have. But going in, I knew what I was getting, like Matt said, it's a stable boat. I mean, I came from a 1448 John boat. This thing is much more stabler than that, but this is also not a $60,000 fiberglass boat that has a 90-inch beam across it, but yeah, with the upgrades, with everything, I don't have that many complaints with this boat. I really don't.
Mm-hmm. So for me personally, I don't like the width. I do wish the beam was a little bit wider but a lot of it might be just I'm a bigger guy, but it does rock pretty hard. When you got the casting seat in there, for me personally, like I got to step damn near, even with the butt seat, I got to step pretty much over on the damn edge of the boat to get around the thing with my big gut. So I guess I could just lose weight too. That'd make it a little easier. But I don't like the width of the boat. I didn't like the quality from the factory. Now I will say I haven't had anything major, knock on wood, happen to my boat yet. Just some metal shavings. Like I said, just some little stuff in the bottom of the boat. I don't really like the wiring. I think that big rat's nest underneath the freaking console I'm not a fan of that, but right now it seems to do the job. I will tell you guys this: if you're thinking about buying this boat, or if you do buy one, I suggest you to personally go through everything on this boat and make sure everything's tight. I've seen some stuff on the forums where the steering wheel, the bolts on the steering wheel that mounts to the steering console was actually loose. They actually didn't tighten the nuts all the way. So I suggest you to do that because stuff slips through quality control. So, but other than that, I mean, I feel like the boat's built pretty well. I think it handles rough water pretty good. I mean, I've had it on Lake Erie as well, and I got back alive, 5 miles out. I mean, I got 2.5, 3 footers. I got back alive. I mean, it wasn't a fast ride, but it did what it had to do. So it's good there. It's cheap, like that. The lack of storage, but I kind of fixed that with the larger compartments and the casting deck extension. I can't really think of anything else that I dislike about the boat, to be 100% honest with you. I feel like the speed's good for what it is. I don't feel like I need to go any faster on that boat. I do wish the live well was bigger. I'm someone that does like to tournament fish from time to time, and I do wish the live well was a little bit bigger. I've never had no issues, but if you caught like a 20-pound bag, it'd be tough. It'd be tough to keep them alive in that live well. It'd be tight. But there's stuff you can do. I mean, there's guys that turned that back compartment to a live well. It turned out really nice. So I mean, there's a lot of things you can do to this boat, and you could always, just like Josh said, you could add a cooler live well or whatever in there. So I do wish the live well was a little bit bigger. But I think other than that, yeah, I like the boat and all. I think if I had to give it out of a 10 rating, I'd give it a 7. And that's just with the price. A 10 would be my dream boat. So, and it's not that. So I think a 7 somewhere in there. I mean, it's a good solid boat. It's a great first boat. I think it's a great first boat. I think it's a great boat for someone that fishes by themselves a lot. I think it's a great boat for a guy that might be retiring even as well. Easy to launch, easy to load, very light. If you're not sitting around the trailer, just push the bastard over around the parking lot. I mean, it's literally that light. So it's an easy boat to deal with. It's a great first boat, and I plan to keep it for another couple of years. But I'll be honest, I mean, I do plan to upgrade at some point just to something bigger, to fish bigger water, Great Lakes and stuff like that. But it does the job for my first boat, and I truly do love it, and it is my baby. So.
Oh yeah, I love this thing, man. It's the other thing. It's super fuel efficient.
Yeah.
What these guys who, and no offense, I mean, whatever somebody wants, that's their money. I don't care. I'm not jealous in the least bit. Mm-hmm. But I have friends who have 21-foot bass boats with 250 horsepower motors on the back, and you would not believe the amount of money it costs them to go fishing in those boats. They're not a 250 horsepower motor. Even these new 4-strokes, they suck down the fuel. They do. They eat it. And with the way stuff's going right now, people are going to be envy of us on the water because gas is going to be $5 a gallon come the summer. There's no doubt in my mind. So, and it ain't going to keep me from fishing. I can tell you that. But, it also, Yeah, super fuel efficient, man. And it's easy to pull. It's a great boat. I give it an 8 out of 10. I really do. Like you said, 10 out of 10 would be my dream boat. But I would do some things different with this boat. I might do my electronics a little different. But other than that, man, I really like this boat. I do. Yeah. I've caught a ton of fish on it in 2 years I've had it. It's got me out and fish. I've been able to fish areas I've never thought I would fish. I said, I take it out on Lake Erie. I mean, I got videos. Some people say that's stupid. Yeah, I mean, that's debatable. You just gotta be smart. You gotta know how to drive it. It's an easy boat to drive too. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I would buy one again. And I think that's going to lead to the next question. Would you buy one today at the price that they are? And I would, because unfortunately, what else are you going to buy?
Yeah, I would say this. If the price of all the other boats didn't go up, no, I would not.
No.
But it's probably still your cheapest option, because all the other boat prices and all the other boat manufacturers' prices went up as well. So it's probably still the cheapest boat out there. And if you really want to get into a boat, it's still a good option and your cheapest option. Absolutely. Yep. And that's actually one thing I did forget to mention. So when I bought this boat, in my head, I was going to fish all the time, you know. But I got to be realistic. You know, I got a child that plays sports. I have a full-time career. I wasn't sure how much I'd actually get to use it. In my head, I was going to be going out every weekend. I didn't want a boat that I couldn't imagine having a $400 boat payment that sits in the driveway. You know, I just couldn't imagine that. This boat right here, it's so cheap and I pay so little on it. It could sit there for 2 months and I don't even blink. It don't sit that long. I mean, I use it literally all the time, but it wouldn't hurt me if it had to sit, because I'm not paying nothing for it on the month. I mean, it's cheaper than a cable bill nowadays. I mean, it's nothing. So that is nice. And that's one of the things another reason why I bought that boat. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm with you, man. I think for what we have in these boats, including our upgrades, which me and Matt probably have two of probably some of the more upgraded bass tracker boats, honestly. Mm-hmm. You know, I get on the forums, a lot of guys are doing the same stuff, but we're probably right up in the top 10% of upgraded boats, you know, as far as, you know, I got two 9 inches and a 7. What's that? 26 inches of fish finders on this thing. We both have $1,500 trolling motors. I got a power pole. Matt's got the deck extensions. I mean, we've done a lot of stuff to these boats, but even then I'm still under $20,000 into this boat.
Me too.
Which is pretty cheap in today's boat market. I literally just seen a thing on the internet where Hobie, their new kayaks are almost $20,000.
Yeah, that's crazy. A kayak.
Yeah, for a kayak. So and no offense to the kayak fishermen, I think it's cool what you guys do, but you guys aren't in your kayak is not this boat. You know?
Yeah, it's not. And you know, even if I upgrade a live scope, I'll still be under 20 grand. So you got to think about that. So I can have live scope, 3 graphs, a casting deck extension, 3 batteries, onboard charger, upgraded straps, retractable straps, all these upgraded trolling motor, all this stuff. I mean, the spot lock, all that stuff for under $20,000. Yep. I got a fishing machine for under $20,000. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't gonna find that anywhere else. You put all those upgrades on a nitro, and now you go from a $30,000 boat, a Z18 to a $50,000 boat. You know, I mean, it's just what it is. So, yeah.
Nope, and it gets you out on the water, man. That's the biggest thing, man.
It gets you out on the water.
I'll be honest with you, the fish don't care. They don't care.
No, they don't. The wind might affect you a little bit, but the fish don't care.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you though, it does blow a little bit. The boat will drift.
It's light. All aluminum boats blow. I mean, fiberglass. If you don't want to drift, get a fiberglass boat.
Yep.
Or get
but to be honest, it doesn't do a horrible bad. Like I said, I came from a 1448 John boat, and sometimes I would turn around to take a drink of water, and I'd be halfway across the lake. So this boat does decent. It's definitely not a big water boat, but it handles its own. It's a good looking boat. We didn't even talk about the graphics and stuff on the side. It's a good looking boat.
I like it. I don't know why everybody takes the damn graphics off of it. I don't understand why. I like the classic look. I like the classic stripe. I don't have a problem with it. Everybody, you can do what you want with your boat. Everybody has different tastes and different. You know, I like the stripe on the boat. I think it looks good. So I think it's a good look. I like the graphics more on the classic than I do like the 175s and those. I like the classic graphics better.
Yeah. And there's people will talk down on Bass Tracker, but Bass Tracker boats have been around forever. I mean, they've been making aluminum boats forever. And Matt said earlier, we talking about Jason Christie winning out aluminum boat, but he ain't fishing out of Bass Tracker, guys. He's fishing out of which are basically like a 21-foot aluminum boat that costs the same as that's a $50,000 boat. So, but people have been fishing out of Bass Trackers for years, and they still do. And I get so many compliments on this boat. I really do. Like I go to ramps everywhere, and people are like, "Hey, that's a nice boat. That's a sweet boat." You know. So it's definitely, and I don't buy boats for that. Like I actually pride myself in being in a smaller boat. I mean, last year at Erie, there was this guy, and I could tell he thought he was better than me because he was in his $80,000 rig, and I jacked a 3-pounder right in front of him. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, I hear him beep, and he fires up and moves away. And I was like, "Yep, that's what's up." You know what I mean? Because the fish don't care, man.
They don't care. They don't. They do not care. You could be in a kayak. You could be. They don't care. You put a lure in front of their face. That's all that matters. So, yeah, guys, I enjoy the boat altogether. I think that's all we got for this one. I know this video went long as well. Well, I wanted to keep it to 35 minutes. I think we're 2 hours into this bastard. So, but it's easy to talk about, guys. The boat stuff is, I kind of had a feeling it might go pretty long, but there's just a lot to get into. It's something we're both very passionate about. A lot of people that follow the Bread for Bass channel know it's something I'm kind of known for, is the boat stuff. So it And we knew that going into this. That's why we wanted to knock this one out right away, because we knew a lot of our fans are fans because we have these boats. So from here on out, we're going to try to make these shorter. We're going to get into some more tackle talk and stuff like that. But we wanted to get the boat one knocked out because we're going to be getting these bad boys out hopefully soon. Not this weekend because we're going to get 6 inches of snow. But and Matt's already had his boat out this year. I haven't had mine out yet, but. Yeah, I had it out there looking around, not catching anything, but just looking around. But yeah, guys. So I think the next video we're gonna do, what we talk about, Josh. We're gonna do our top 5 advice we would give to any fisherman, any bass fisherman. I think we're gonna do that. We're gonna both give you our top 5, and then after that, we're gonna start the next video. After that, we're gonna start getting into some more tackle stuff, so spring baits and stuff like that. And I promise, guys, we'll keep them shorter. This will be the last real long one. So,
and we're gonna try to get creative too. We got some fishing trips coming up. Me and Matt planning on going to Lake St. Clair. And I think what would be awesome is if we might try to record one of these driving up to St. Clair or whatever. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool. And then you guys leave a comment. Make sure you guys subscribe, not only to here to the Bread for Bass channel, but make sure you jump over to Josh's channel. He's just the biggest part of this as I am. So make sure you subscribe to his channel and leave us some comments, guys. Leave some feedback, what you want to see in the future. And like I said, every Friday 6 a.m. Eastern time, we drop a new video. So that's all we got, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Josh, any final words from you?
Nope. If you guys live in the South and you're able to fish, lucky for you. Cruise on over. I have a Facebook group, so does Matt. Cruise over to those Facebook groups, post some photos, show us what you're catching. I like that. And like Matt said, leave some comments and let us know what you like, what you don't like, what we could do better. And we'll see you next Friday.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you. Everybody stay safe out there. Peace.